Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Clint Zoker, and welcome to another My Thoughts On. And today I'm going to be talking about Home Alone. That's right. Directed by Christopher Columbus, produced and written by John Hughes, and is one of the biggest Christmas classics of all time. And now I'm doing this thing. This is not very long. I'm going to be talking about two Christmas classics. This is going to be the first one, and tomorrow you're going to have to guess. I'll give you a hint. It's from Disney. I'll let you guess. But for now, it's Home Alone. Everyone should know what Home Alone is at this point. It's a Christmas classic. Everyone knows it. It's very quotable. It's just wonderful. So I haven't seen it in a very long time, even though I do really like the film, and I still kind of do. So I thought, why not give it a rewatch and see if it holds up? So maybe for like the two of you who doesn't know what Home Alone is, maybe I should quickly sum up what it's about. Are you ready? Okay. So it's about this family who goes to Paris in France for their Christmas holiday, but Kevin, played by Macaulay Culkin, gets left behind by accident. And these two burglars named Harry and Marv, who's played by Joe Pesci and Darren Stern, I think that's his name, Darren Stern, yeah, decide to rob the McAllister house. But that means Kevin has to defend the house from them two. And that's it. That's all you need to know. In order to make a film like this, you don't need to be like complex or deep or confusing. I like when films keep their plots simple. This film's not going to be one of the biggest storytellers ever. It's a really simple film that provides a lot of entertainment and even a lot of heart. This film is funny. It is really damn funny. It knows how to be funny for kids, adults, in fact, for everyone, really. It has a few adult humour here and there. It has some great slapstick, especially when Marv and Harry would activate these traps. It's also really heartfelt too, and really emotional because, Kevin. The only problem I have, and although it is an issue, I am kind of used to this issue, but Kevin does act a bit like an arse at the beginning. He's the little troublemaker that always gets into trouble and causes all sorts of havoc while everyone else in his family don't. Okay, maybe with Buzz, who kind of blames everything on him. I don't know. So he does. The film does start off a little bit like. It starts off a bit quick and a little bit mean-spirited, but it does after rewatching it all these years, it does turn me off a little bit and doesn't quite get me in the Christmas spirit. But I'll let it slide a little bit because it is because to be fair, it is quite funny and it is very entertaining. The scenes where we see Kevin at home just doing what I would imagine every kid would love to do: watch R-rated films, or in this case 15 films, eat ice cream, order pizza, just mess around with other people's stuff in their rooms. I'm sure we want to be that kid. We would always get into trouble, we would always do something that we're not supposed to, but then we do it because he's just a kid, I mean, yeah, there's a scene where he knows Santa's not real, and he knows how to shop for himself. But he's still afraid, and he still loves his family, and he doesn't want to be alone for Christmas. So he is a so the whole so it's interesting to see this whole film with its main character being a child and the villains being like grown adults. It makes it funny, memorable, and even quotable. This is a really, really quotable film, and the script I think is just hilarious. The scenes which involve um, Kevin and Old Man Marley, and this is not really a spoiler because I'm pretty sure everyone's seen the film by now. When you learn who he is, and the scene in the church with Old Man Marley talking to Kevin is just wonderful. Just absolutely, it's very simple. It's very touching. It's very understandable, and people can relate to that. And that's another thing too. This film's just simple, and I really miss the days when films become more simple. And I like complexity. Don't get me wrong, but complexity films are not always like the best films to follow. The only films I could think of that's like simple was like Farmageddon, that Shaun the Sheep film. There's probably like a few others, but I forgot. This is wonderfully directed by Chris uh, Chris Columbus, who would later direct Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, and the two Harry Potter films. Quite a coincidence. I will also admit that there are a few things in this film that doesn't make any sense. Like consistency is not the film's strongest element. Like how did like I don't know. Like how did Marv and Harry get to the Murphy's house quickly before Kevin did? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense really. It does happen a few times, which after rewatching it just recently, it did kind of bother me. But besides the not very festive start and some really odd things that make no sense, this is besides that, I think the plot is just beautiful. I think it's funny, entertaining, it's touching, it has heart, it just gets you in the Christmas spirit. And it's just so much fun for adults, for kids. What else do you need? It's very simple. It does exactly what it wants to be, and I'm glad Chris Columbus directed it and John Hughes also, because they seem to know what they were really doing with this film. And also, how can we forget the Angels with Filthy Souls scene? That one is possibly the best scene in the entire film. It just gets funnier and funnier as it goes along. Visuals. You can tell this is from the, well, I'm gonna guess, late 1980s. I'm going to say that 1980s, early 1990s. I think it's like that. Usually, I'm not a big fan of these very 90s looking films, but this one looks refreshing. It has the very wintry, very Christmassy look to it, and I would love to live in the McAllister's house because that house looks, it looks lovely. It looks big. It does look expensive. Um, and this was back in those type of days, so CGI is not very noticeable. And I think this was back when CGI was. I don't know. I think this was back when it was trying to become big. It didn't quite catch on, and it did become a little bit bigger as it went along. The scenes where you see Marv stepping on the stairs and almost getting his foot a little bit stabbed with the nail, and the blowtorch on Harry. I think those are just practical effects, and if they are, and I believe they are, it works. It makes it feel real. It doesn't feel fake. It feels like there is actually fire on his hat. And also the slapstick and the comedy is just wonderful. They slip over some toys. They get hit by something. It's just hilarious. It's so over the top. It's stupid, sure, but that's the whole point of Home Alone. And it visually does that with just wonderful camera angles and even pretty gorgeous cinematography. that's all I've got really. It's just a really lovely, heartwarming looking film, and even again the scene in the church with Marley is just gorgeous to look at. Also, who would think that a film about a kid versus some burglars would be visually amazing looking? Well, the team found a way, and it's beautiful. Characters and acting. All these characters, whether they have big roles or small roles, they're memorable at the very least. Our main character, Kevin McAllister, he's awesome. He's every kid who just who wants to do his own thing. He doesn't want to see his family. He wants to eat. He wants to watch movies. He wants to mess around. He's that kid. But then he's also the one that likes to take responsibility, puts up the tree, makes food for himself. He goes shopping for himself. He may be a very troublesome kid, but he also has a good heart. With that said, though, he was a bit of a dick at the first part of the film, but again, he's a kid, and some kids can be troublemakers, and they can be, they can get into a lot of trouble. But deep down, he really does love his family, despite the fact that he said he didn't want to see his family again. But again, he's just a kid. He doesn't believe in Santa, but he's also afraid of monsters, and he's also afraid of these burglars too. I can't really say I blame him for all of this. I'm sure there is a kid who doesn't believe in Santa, and it's just kind of scared of being alone and whatever. But I love this character. I thought he's just a really cool, really funny, charming, charismatic kid. The two burglars, Harry and Marv, are just hilarious. They're both charismatically evil. They're both funny. They're both memorable, and they're just the classic burglar villains that you've all probably seen in like cartoons and films and TV shows. That's what they are. And they're fantastic. They're just so memorable. The family, the McAllister family, the mother, Kate, who's played by Catherine O'Hara, she does play a big part in the film where they leave Kevin behind and she has to go back and see if he's alright. She's really endearing, she's lovely, it shows that she really cares about Kevin, she really wants to go back and see him. I thought she was just a really fantastic, really charismatic, and even a really believable mother figure. Peter McAllister, who's played by the late John Hurd, not John Hurt from Harry Potter, so that's a really big coincidence. Chris Columbus directed 2 films in 2 series, Home Alone and Harry Potter. John Hurd is in Home Alone 1 and 2 as, the McAllister father, and John Hurt, the late John Hurt, is in the first Harry Potter film. It's weird, isn't it? Because their surnames sound a bit similar. Anyways, he's just a dad. He's not really anything special, but he is memorable and just kind of funny. In fact, most of the family that they're with, like Uncle Frank, Fuller, Buzz, they're also memorable in their personalities, dialogue, and just even the acting too. They Columbus made these characters feel more believable than just one-dimensional, despite how cartoony this film is. But that's the whole point. It's a good balance, honestly, between family, heart, believability, the other being comedy, slapstick, and stupid enjoyability. And that's a good balance, even with these characters. I think possibly my favourite has to be Marley, who you learn later on that he's not actually like the shovel banger slayer, whatever his name is. I thought he was absolutely delightful. And the actor who played him, I don't know his name, I wish I knew. He is amazing. He plays him very softly. He has a very nice voice, and he's very likable. I think he's amazing in this film. Easily my favourite character, along with Harry, Marv, Kevin. Actually, you know what? All the characters I like, but mainly Kevin, Harry, and Marv, and Marley. Kevin, Harry, Marv, Marley. Okay, yeah. And Kate too. even some of the one-dimensional, one-note characters like the pizza boy. There's the shop owners. There's even there's the staff member at the restaurant who asks Kevin about if he's alone. Despite not having big roles, they do play a very comedic part to their roles, and they're very memorable in just how believable and funny those scenes are. The acting is just the acting is absolutely superb. Let's talk about Macaulay Culkin. Now, you can correct me on this, but I believe back then he was pretty big as an actor. I think it was mainly because of Home Alone. And honestly, I don't really blame them for seeing him as like this big thing back in the 90s. As I don't know how old he is, he's like 6, 7, I think he's 8, I'm not sure. But as an 8-year-old or whatever, he's really damn good. He feels believable as a kid. He's smug, funny, charming, devious, troublesome. He's every kid that we know. But just funny. He's even like relatable, and you can tell he has heart and he does care about his family. I think he did a great job in this film. Joe Pesci as Harry, he's basically just the good fellas. Only he's playing a bandit, a burglar. He's just equally as funny as Darren. Is it Daniel? Oh no, Daniel Stern. I said Darren Stern. Daniel Stern. But they're both excellent. Daniel Stern is good at playing as the dumb yet just slow and childish Marv, while Joe Pesci plays as the tough and doesn't take any shits Harry. They're both legendary actors who play two legendary burglars. Catherine O'Hara is just fantastic. She's really fantastic, caring, and she's very good at playing as the distressed yet emotional mother of Kevin. Everyone else does a really amazing job too, but their roles. What can I say about these characters? These characters are absolutely timeless. They're funny. They're memorable. They have great quotes. You can. There's going to be at least a few people who can name their favourite characters, but I love all of them. And thanks to some terrific performances, especially Macaulay Culkin, these characters feel like they're in my memory just like Christmas. On a side note, the song Somewhere in My Memory and the John Williams score is what makes this film feel more Christmassy than the visuals. Visually, it has a Christmas feel, but the soundtrack and the song is just... that's what really tops it off for me. Guys, come on, what can I say about this? It's fucking Home Alone. Yeah, it does have a very mean-spirited start, and there are things that do not make any sense. But those are flaws that do kind of take away the reality of the film. But Home Alone is a Christmas classic, and no one can take that away. Home Alone is just a fantastic, memorable, and just amazing Christmas classic that will keep going and lasting forever. It has a plot that's simple, humorous, funny, clever. It has adult jokes. It has a lot of great humor for children to enjoy. It has everything in a plot and in execution for the family. It's gorgeous looking and it's done well with some good slapstick and practical effects. The traps are awesome. They're memorable and creative. The characters are lovable and funny. The acting is superb, and the music just brings you into a Christmas feeling. I don't know what rating I'll give it, so you know what? Just for the sake of it, I'm going to give it a 9.9 out of 10. Despite two issues, I love this film to death. I just remember this film a lot. And there are a few films out there that I remember like word for word, scene for scene, which is quite rare. But there are a few, and this one is one I will never forget. With Home Alone 2 and Lost in New York, however, well, I might do that next Christmas. I'm not going to do the other sequels because the next one's directed by Chris Columbus. I think John Hughes wrote it as well. I think so. So yeah, that's Home Alone. Next, You're going to have to guess that for yourself. At some point, I will be doing another question time. I don't know when. It'll probably be. It won't be on Christmas Day, Boxing Day, Christmas Eve. It'll probably be like next Sunday, I think, like the 29th, something like that. So, if you have any more questions at all, I will upload another video saying when the deadline is and when the deadline finishes. I'm gonna read out the questions, and then if you don't, if you can't, ask me any questions in time, then sorry. But don't worry, you can leave it to the next episode. So that will be next Sunday, hopefully. So the deadline will probably be. Oh, I mean, I'll upload the videos soon. So if you have any more, just keep them coming. But there will be a deadline. So hurry up. So if you have seen Home Alone, come on, everyone's seen Home Alone. What do you think of Home Alone? Do you think it's a really good classic or just a really enjoyable film? Let me know below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. And until next time, keep the change, you filthy animal.